This video is for you who is a complete beginner to exercise and who wants to know the best way to train as a beginner to build muscle. And so in this video we are going to discuss exactly that, how you want to train as a complete beginner to exercise if you are someone who wants to build muscle. And in this video we are going to go through a couple of different things. These things being what you want to focus on for the first couple of weeks of your training, specifically what I would recommend your program should look like for the first 2 to 3 months of your training, and then we're also going to touch on briefly what you can do with your program after those 2 to 3 months. And lastly, I'm also going to be showing you where you can find answers to probably any other questions that you might have related to this video, since I didn't want to put everything in this video because that would make this video very, very long. But first of all, before I get into the video, like always, let me just introduce myself. My name is Alphonse. Here we talk about how to maximize your results from your training with as little risk of injury and with as little time spent in the gym as possible. As you can see, I'm far from the biggest guy giving fitness advice on YouTube, and I might even be smaller than you, the person who's watching this, but I can assure you that I'm an absolute super mega nerd when it comes to everything about exercise and everything around it, and I've been completely obsessed with it ever since I was 14. And so if you're humble enough to listen to someone like me who isn't absolutely huge, then I could definitely teach you some stuff and help you to avoid spinning your wheels, making little to no progress like I first did when I first started training and knew nothing about this stuff. But anyways, let's get into the video. So first, what should your training be focused on for the first 2 to 3 weeks? For the first 2 to 3 weeks, or maybe even month of your training, we do not want to be focusing on pushing very, very hard. We do not want to be pushing all the way to failure. What we first want to be focusing on is to actually learn the proper form and execution of all of our exercises. Now, if you want to learn how to do a proper set of an exercise to momentary muscle failure, then you can check out this video, which I'm also going to link down in the description, where I talk about exactly that. I talk about what things you want to be thinking about while you are doing pretty much any exercise. Now, the reason we do not want to be training very, very intensely and going all the way to failure when we first start is because as a beginner, it can be hard to be able to focus on all of the other things that we need to focus on while performing proper exercise, while also at the same time trying to push as hard as we possibly can. And so if we're trying to push very, very hard when we first start, it can actually be distracting and make it harder to learn everything else that we need to learn, like for example, keeping proper body positioning, proper breathing, and everything else around performing, proper exercise that I, by the way, also discussed in that video that I just mentioned. So in the beginning, we want to pick a pretty light weight. We still want the weight to be heavy enough though, that we can feel the targeted muscles actually working against resistance when we are doing the exercise, but we don't want it to be so heavy that we feel that we can't properly focus on all of the other things that we need to focus on in order to perform the exercise properly. And so I would recommend something like a 3 to 4 out of 10 resistance. One being, it's so light that you barely need to exert yourself at all in order to move the weight, and a 10 out of 10 resistance being that you can just barely move the weight while exerting yourself almost maximally. I also want to say that you shouldn't expect yourself to learn all of these things that you need to learn in order to perform the exercises properly and just perform proper exercise in general right away. It's going to take time, which is the reason why we have this 2 to 3, maybe even 4 week period where we focus on learning all of the proper form and everything else around performing proper exercise. And so don't beat yourself up if you feel like you're struggling to learn all these things, because it is difficult, and that is again the reason why we have this period of 2 to 3 weeks, or even more if you feel like you need more in order to learn all of these things that we first need to learn before we start pushing ourselves hard. And so after those first 2 to 3 weeks or longer, when you feel like you've been able to master the form of all of your exercises, you can start to gradually increase the resistance session to session until you're working to the point of momentary muscular failure. And by the way, an important little side note, if you start increasing the resistance and all of a sudden you feel like you're having trouble comfortable with the form again on a particular exercise, then don't increase the resistance anymore. Spend some more time working on the form again until you feel like you mastered it, and then increase the resistance again. Remember, only properly performed reps count. We don't want to be increasing the resistance and telling ourselves that, oh, I'm getting stronger, but then also having our form start to gradually deteriorate more and more over time as we're increasing the resistance more and more. But anyways, on to the next point, which is what I would recommend your program should look like for the first 2 to 3 months of your training. For complete beginners to exercise, for the first 2 to 3 months, I recommend you start with a full body program consisting of 6 exercises that addresses most of the muscle groups in the body in order to facilitate learning and practice over these basic compound movements that you're probably going to be including in your workouts anyway later when you start building out your program and adding more exercises. These 6 exercises consists of a leg press or a squat, a front grip pull down or a chin up, an overhead press, compound row, chest press, trunk extension, or a stiff-legged deadlift. And if you don't know what a trunk extension is, it's basically the same as a 45-degree back extension. It's just that it should be called a trunk extension because you're really not just extending your lower back, you're extending your entire trunk, and the targeted muscle groups is the lower back and the glutes and the hamstrings. And you don't have to, but performing these exercises in the order that I just listed would be a good idea. Now, after these 2 to 3 months, you can split up your workout into 2 but no more than 4 separate workouts. And since most people will be able to tolerate the volume of a full body routine, I would recommend you start with a full body routine. And if you want me to walk you through how you can design your very own workout program, what exercises to include, sets and reps, what split to use, and a bunch more stuff, you can check out this video, which I'm going to link down in the description. It's a 2-part series where I talk about everything you need to know in order to create your very own workout program. And so if you feel like you need help with that, then check out that video. And also, if you have any questions about how to perform a set properly, then again, we have that video that I mentioned earlier about how to perform a set properly, which is linked down in the description. And if you have any questions about workout frequency, then I have a completely separate video about that, which I'm also going to link down in the description. But with that being said, that's all for this video. I really hope you guys liked it, and I really hope you guys found it useful. If you did, and if you felt like you learned at least something from this video, then please don't forget to leave at least a like on this video. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future from me, then also don't forget to click that subscribe and ring that notification bell so you can be notified the next time I upload. But with that being said, like always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.